Thank you again and again for being here today. And sort of how this conversation goes is it sort of is guided by three core questions, which I'll dive into. But the conversation usually goes off the path a little bit and kind of just goes naturally. So I'll start by I'm asking you the first core question, which is, what does it mean for you to be a good man, and where did you learn it from?
For me to being a good man, it's just pretty much being yourself, just staying to your true core. Um, True core meaning just staying with your ideals, whatever that may be. Hopefully to help progress society forward, not just for selfish reasons. Of course, there are those types of men who uh, adhere to their own principles, but it's just for strictly selfish reasons. Like, I don't know, they might be racist or homophobic or some sort of narrow-minded mentality. But to me, it's just pretty much being just true to yourself. Also, trying to be helpful towards others as well, and not shying away if there's some sort of adversity going on, and then if that adversity kind of flusters someone, just to stay the course. And if you have to show emotions, then so be it. I mean, there's no shame in that. Never really understood why showing feelings was kind of viewed as effeminate. I never really understood that. Um, I mean, anger is emotion, and somehow that's tied to a masculine trait, but somehow crying and um, kind of sulking is viewed as effeminate. I never really understood that. So I just realized I'm going off on a tangent here. Sorry about that.
No,
But
no,
yeah,
all good.
yeah. So
That's
yeah, yeah.
we totally encourage that, and it's great to hear everything you have to say. And I think you brought up some really important and critical points that we talk a lot about ourselves. Specifically, when you said staying true to your core and your ideals, whatever those might entail, to sort of help progress society forward, because ultimately there is sort of this issue and toxicity around masculinity, and these kinds of conversations and sort of figuring out what kind of things we can do to help progress them is really important. And I think as we do that, there will be lots of positive outcomes that are really obvious, or be able to see that in society. One thing I want to ask you is, when you say staying true to your core and your ideals, for me, that means being supportive to those around me, taking care of myself at the same time, whether that's, checking in on myself, like how am I really feeling right now, letting myself feel emotions and express those to others if I do need help, and being able to ask for help. So I'd love to hear sort of what that means for you.
For me, it's definitely what you laid out as well. In addition to that, it's whatever value system that you grow up upon, whether it's religious based or just some sort of an altruistic based viewpoint, whether you just viewed it from your siblings or family members, or parents rather, other family members, even from TV, if you maybe not didn't have much of a good upbringing, just noticing all the good traits in others, and just trying to apply that to yourself, and just building upon that as your foundation for life. That to me is just kind of like your core. It could be core principles, whatever, core thoughts. Yeah, that to me would be the staying true to your core thing. Just
Yeah.
trying to improve yourself, improve others, and try to be as um, what's the right word? Contr- 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 my brain's fried at 5:30. Forgive me, I'm sorry. It to try to be as contributory. I don't know if that's a word.
Like
To
contributing maybe.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, no,
Contributions to society. Yeah.
I totally get what you're saying, and I think it's really cool that you pinpointed taking care of yourself, but also taking care of others, because I think that balance is important. And growing up for me personally, and being around other men and listening to what media has to say, or what our teachers say, or parents, or or siblings or friends, it's a lot of the same story where you kind of feel like as a man that you have to care for others constantly and do so much for other people and for other things and work and put food on the table and be tough at the same time and strong and not really let emotions come into you. But when you do that, you kind of slowly realize that you're not taking care of yourself at all. So I do think it's really
Right.
important, like you said, to take care of yourself as well. So
Definitely.
that was really awesome. And where do you think that you learned sort of, it's really awesome that you can acknowledge this. Where do you think you learned that from? Was it sort of when you were younger as a child or more into your adult years or a teacher or a certain mentor or even like a TV show character or movie
Yeah.
character where you learned these things?
For me, just just my upbringing in general. I mean, it was a comfortable household. It wasn't always rosy. It also wasn't exactly the worst situation possible either. But just having a father figure who wasn't exactly emotionally there and even physically there, although he still lived in the other house. Um, he was more of an alcoholic side. He definitely had that more uh, old style fatherly type of demeanor of just always being angry if stuff didn't go their way and just drinking away their problems kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So I pretty much knew, all right, this is definitely not the path that I want to go to. So that was kind of like the flip side to seeing firsthand what I did not want to become. So I try to look for, just like you alluded to before, um, one example was for me, safe haven was definitely television. Just seeing like wackadoodle fathers like Homer Simpson,
Yeah.
um, pre allegations, Bill Cosby. I hate to say it. Bob Saget, though, just seeing all those types of positive fatherly figures that they could kind of flip out, but at the same time, it's like you don't really have to take life too seriously, and you could still be humorous with your children and your significant other and society at large and with your friends, all that, coworkers. So I definitely built upon that to be like, yeah, those are the types of people that I definitely want to um, be like at some point. And then throughout my teenage years, it's like, all right, well, maybe complete goofy is not the end all be all path. I'm pretty sure there's other more straightforward male figures, and I've realized that there are those two. Um, for me, it's I guess not really a fatherly figure, but in terms of kind of I don't really know how to word this part too, but George Carlin, just seeing him on stage, kind of attacking American society back then in the what was it the 70s or 60s 70s, and then kind of like being the angry grandfather style of stand-up comedy in the 80s and 90s. He did kind of uh, paint this picture of you can be a vocal male, still kind of poking fun at the patriarchy, um, and at the same time, you could still be considered a man because even though you're still poking fun at the patriarchy, kind of a thing. Um, so it's not really, I guess, George Carlin's like uh, personality, but more so his viewpoint on life.
Mhm.
Um, Um, so there's that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess growing up, it was more of um, the character or caricatures, if you will, from TV sitcoms. And then growing up, it's like, all right, well, maybe more of the philosophical aspects, just kind of like round out to be what it means to be a better man,
Hmm.
be
Yeah.
able to.
No, that's really cool. And I heard you say, um, a lot of your learning came from observations,
Yep.
and I would agree with that. I think in any aspect of life, observing is kind of step one when you want to learn more about something. And I think that a lot of people, including myself, use certain outlets like television and newspapers and articles and things that may not be direct or physical human interaction, but sort of just observing characters, whether they're fictional or non-fictional, you can sort of gravitate towards certain types of behaviors and kind of stray away from others. And that gives you a better sense of who you want to surround yourself around in real life. So it's really awesome that you know what types of behaviors you don't want to surround yourself around, but at the same time, you kind of tailored which ones you do gravitate towards. So that's really cool. And I want to jump to the second question just so we have enough time for everything. Okay. So what does masculinity mean in today's society, and how does it influence your life?
Nowadays, it is definitely different from, I guess, my father's era, because masculinity could mean to a certain segment of the population that, oh, you still have to be burly and supportive and all that. But for me, my definition is, are you not a dickhead to others, for the lack of a better term? Are you still supportive without being an overbearing type A personality? Are you still um, able to um, kind of assert yourself, but without being domineering? Um, and I think these are definitely traits not that women are adapting as well. But and I definitely don't find anything wrong with that. Um, and with men too, it's like as long as both sexes, both genders are sharing the load. I mean, that to me is like perfect masculinity. Like, you don't have to prove yourself to, I don't know, like for example, let's say if actually in my case, I have a female boss, and she and I work in perfect sync. I don't feel like because I'm the male, I have to dominate, show my masculinity, be like, oh well, I don't think you know anything because I'm a guy. Of course, that's absolutely stupid, because she's been here way longer than I have, so she has the knowledge of the position. So I definitely give her deference to that. Um, so um, yeah, it definitely. Um, yeah, it definitely doesn't do anyone well if someone just has to continuously show that, yeah, I'm a macho man kind of stuff. It's that to me is just the most stupidest thing on the face of this planet. I remember just seeing like WWE, or back then WWF, people, just these wrestlers like in, I don't know, spandex and rippled six packs. I'm like, yeah, that's a dude. But I'm like, I mean, there are other ways to show that, yeah, I'm a male. Like, I never really got that macho mentality, wearing that stupid wife beater with like gold chains around, and kind of look intimidating. That to me is just the most stupidest thing on the face of this planet. There are definitely many ways to be like, hey, I'm a male. Um, yeah, I guess, quote unquote, proud of it. But without kind of over, what's the right word? Kind of overarching someone else,
Yeah,
or
definitely.
dominating over someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you bring up some really cool points, and I think it's important to recognize that you can be a male and be proud of a male, but don't have to associate with, like you said, being a quote unquote dickhead or the
Right.
WWE kind of burly macho fighting man.
Exactly.
And it's unfortunate because we are so exposed to media and certain outlets kind of affiliating masculinity with everything that WWE entails. And
Right.
so from a very young age, I remember watching the news or sports games or things like WWE. And, when you're an adolescent, you kind of believe everything you see. So over
Right.
time, you kind of adapt to, oh, men, that's X, Y, and Z, which are not actually the healthy things that you should be
Right.
associating with. But I think you bring up some really good points talking about different from your father's era, and I would agree. A couple decades ago, that it was more the burly, supportive, um, uh, over dominating.
Right.
mentality, and that's definitely shifted. And I think it needs to continue to shift. And the story with your female boss kind of speaks volumes on where we should all be aiming to get to.
Right.
And it should go without saying, but
Exactly.
but
But unfortunately, still, yeah, some
exactly.
males just, yeah, they're just stubborn.
Yep,
Yep.
100%. So, um, yeah, thank you for sharing some of your personal anecdotes and your opinions and ideas along with that.
All right.
So the last core question is, how have you developed your perspective on healthy masculinity? And a little follow up to that is, how can others sort of develop this as well?
For me, just keep learning in life. Just remain flexible. Just stay adaptive to um, societal changes. Just because nowadays, there's this whole, uh, for the lack of a better term, this Trumpism, over dominant, masculine, hyper masculine mentality of, I don't know, Trump riding on some fucking eagle, having a fake six pack, shooting a fucking bazooka. Like that to me is just so fucking stupid. Um, I don't really know why certain men have to just continuously push this agenda that that's the only way to be a man. It's like, no, it's not. I'm pretty sure um, men in the LGBTQ community, they're like, well, I'm not trans, so I'm still a man. I like, what about me? Like, I'm heterosexual. I'm a cisgender hetero male, but at the same time, it's like I don't really need to prove that I'm a cisgender hetero male because I know I'm a cisgender hetero male, and that's all I really need to know. Um, um, so just um, going back to the question, uh, just learning how to adapt to societal changes, and just being open-minded. Yeah, you might have thought a certain way, I don't know, 5, 10 years ago, but that doesn't really show anyone that you're a flip-flopper. If anything, to me, it shows that you learn from your, I guess, mistakes, or from ignorance, or just lack of knowledge, and that just shows that you're growing. Um, I mean, we're definitely not the same people that we were when we were 5, 10 years old. So what's the difference between that versus, I don't know, if I'm in my 60s and I had a different viewpoint, I don't know, when I was like in my 30s or 40s, let's say. I'm 36, but just like hypothetical, I mean, to me, life is all about learning. Just stay flexible. And I completely forgot your second question. I'm sorry. Here, follow up.
Well, no, you partially answered, and I love what you said so far. But it was, how can others develop this as well?
Yep, yeah, same mentality. Just remain flexible. Just try to go with the flow as possible. I know it's definitely easier said than done, because we all have our set ways, but then again, there might be a personal life altering event that just changes your viewpoint suddenly, and now what? I mean, does that kind of leave the guy like, oh man, I guess I was an idiot. Like, no, you're not exactly an idiot. Maybe just um, I want to say necessarily didn't grow up, but at the same time, you're at least you're growing up to make yourself better and wiser as you age. Yeah, that's just, yeah, just keep an open mind,
Yeah.
and just remain adaptive to
No,
societal changes. Yep.
I think that's great advice, and I think it's an amazing way to develop a perspective on healthy masculinity and a lot of things. I think more than anything, what you pinpointed on being open, I would say that is probably the most crucial part of part of it and part of learning. Because if you're not open, you can't learn, and you can't really be flexible, and you can't really adapt to societal change. And like you mentioned, the Trumpism period and hyper masculine era, which is not in the past, that is still occurring.
Unfortunately, ongoing. Yep.
Yeah. And I believe that stems from that sort of mentality that we see in men throughout our country, stems from overarching insecurity. And I think it's the only, that kind of mentality is the only thing that they think they can be proud of,
Right.
whether that was trauma from when they were younger, or their father figure, or male mentor growing up sort of instilled that sort of dark dark mentality in them.
Yeah.
But it is extremely narrow-minded, and um, it's I think for us sort of on the other side of the spectrum where we're kind of able to acknowledge these things, and we're sort of passionate about seeing some sort of change in society for men. I
Right.
think it's important to remain um, as hard as it can be, remain sort of understanding sometimes,
Exactly.
and at least acknowledge that everyone does have a story and comes from something, and there is a reason. And I think it's really important eventually for us to sort of pinpoint the reason that why they act that way.
Right.
But like you said, you have to be open. So if you're not
Definitely.
open, it's never going to get there. If you are open, over time, I think that you can kind of push that needle a little bit more every day, every month, every year, and can change someone's perspective on those things. And so I'm passionate about that, and I do believe that there can be some really powerful change in that whole realm. But I think you bring up some really great points with how you developed your perspective, and how others can develop it as well.
um, Glad to open up. Yeah, I just never really understood the over masculine aspect of being a male. I never understood that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I mean, for men to, I don't know, be, for example, if they're homophobic, it's like, well, why are you homophobic? Like do straight men like that, who think that they're gonna become magically gay by hanging out with a gay man? Like, of course not. That's ludicrous.
Mhm.
Um, or if they or if they're a misogynist, it's like, well, if someone who wants equal pay, like, is that gonna deduct their pay? Like, I never understood that argument. It's just one of the most, like, I don't know, all these hyper masculine, like, chest beating, oh, I'm a Tarzan male type. I never understood that. Never will. Yeah, I somehow recognize that at an early age too. I just couldn't associate myself with that.
Yeah.
It's probably why I'm not exactly a buffed man myself. I probably have a beer keg bigger than I don't know, a married father of, I don't know, like two or three kids. But yeah, I mean, men come in all shapes and sizes and mentalities, and doesn't um, come in just one standard. That hyper masculine, that is most ludicrous thing on the
Yep.
face of this planet.
I totally agree. And I think ludicrous is actually a pretty reasonable word to use there, because it is ludicrous and it is irrational
Right.
and it's not logical and it doesn't make any sense. And it pisses me off. It pisses you off. It pisses
Right.
plenty of people off. Um, and I do think the underlying theme there is insecurity. And I think with what we're doing Under the Hood Talk with these interviews, if we do create a big enough library where we get enough snippets and enough sort of different components of men's lives, or struggles that men face in the topics that we're discussing. I think enough of those, or hopefully enough of those insecure men will, or maybe find the page, and kind of, I feel like sometimes they feel alone, so they
True.
sort of need to see that someone else is also struggling with that. But the person who's struggling with that on Under the Hood would be willing to acknowledge what's going on, and open about it, which is obviously the hardest part. But our hope is that um, more and more men can kind of find the page, and be like, okay, maybe I can let my guard down. Maybe I can grow out of this phase. Maybe I don't need to be homophobic or racist or misogynistic or hyper masculine, and all of the other sort of toxicities that we've discussed thus far. I do see the time. We have about 4 or 5 minutes left, and at the end of these interviews, if there's anything that you didn't get a chance to share, we'd love to give you the opportunity to do so right now. If there's a recommendation for the page, something you want to get off your chest, or
Um,
just anything you'd like to share at all, the floor is yours. And if you need,
um, yeah, cool. Thank you. No, I definitely think that this whole topic of what it means to be a man, just getting various viewpoints in from I'm assuming the whole world at large is just one of the most brilliant things that I found so far on Instagram. And Instagram, it's slim pickings. It's kind of a cesspool,
Yeah.
but yeah, definitely, this is a great idea. Hopefully, more men are, if they already haven't participated, that they do open up. Um, I'm already an opinionated person anyway, so for me, it's kind of easy. Other than the fact that I'm kind of tired. Sorry about that, but
No.
yeah, but hopefully, more men definitely open up, reveal insecurities about themselves, and even with those insecurities, I mean, it's not going to define you. I mean, you could definitely overcome them. I mean, I still suffer from massive insecurities, but life goes on. Um, just because you're suffering from something doesn't mean that you have to suffer silently as well. Um, yeah, someone else might be going through the same thing, and they're just, for whatever reason, might be scared shitless to open up, just because it might be viewed as, I don't know, effeminate, just because they're expressing your feelings. And again, like, anger is an emotion. Again, why is that acceptable? But everything else isn't. For males, never understood that. So yeah, hopefully this topic definitely has enough of gathering, and enough snippets to kind of make more men around the world just open up their eyes and be like, yeah, I feel the same way, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just kind of yeah, just try to live peacefully. I mean, that's all we want anyway, just to live in peace. So yeah.
Amen. Amen to that.
Yep.
Well, we really appreciate your support and your being here today in this interview. And we encourage future engagement with our content. And if you have any ideas or thoughts, or just want to hit us up and talk, you can DM us, email us, or whatever you feel the need to do. But our hope is that, the more and more interviews that we do, there's kind of going to be this awesome ripple effect. And whether it starts small or remains small, it doesn't really matter. It's the hope is that it helps someone,
Exactly.
which it
Exactly. Yep.
is. So that's the goal. And Jason, thank you so much for being here today and
Thank you,
sharing
Henry.
your story and your perspectives. It's been really awesome.
Cool. And thank you for the time, Henry. And yeah, this has been fun. It doesn't even feel like 30 minutes, to be
I
honest.
know it
Yeah.
flies
Yeah,
by.
it flew by. Yeah. I'm like, holy shit, it's already 6. Yeah.
I
So,
know.
yep.
All right. Thank you so much, Jason. We'll
Cool.
stay in touch.
Cool. Will do. All right. Take care. Thank you.
Have a good one. Bye.
All right. You too.